Hello and welcome to ESC Fan TV. Did you miss us? I did. I'm sure you all did. As always, don't forget, whilst you're here now tuning in, click that like and subscribe button. We are on YouTube, we are on Insta, we are on Facebook, we are on Stitcher, we are on iTunes. Anywhere and everywhere you can see us and hear us coming to you live. Now, as always, I've got a fantastic panel of guests with me, and the first person to say hello to this evening, hello, Elliot.
Hello, it's great to be back with everyone. Here we go again.
Did you have a good summer? That's the question.
I did. It was very lovely, but ready to jump back into it now and ready for whatever happens between now and Rotterdam.
Excellent. Yes, only 8 months to go. We're well up for it. A very, very good evening to Yana.
Hello, good evening, Europe and beyond.
And how are you this evening, my lovely?
I'm good, relaxed. The work week is over, the weekend can start.
And I hope the Eurovision tunes are playing loudly. That's all I can say.
Oh, yes.
As always, a very good evening to Martin.
Hello, everyone. 230 days to go till my Rotterdam flight.
Hey, not that you're counting, obviously.
Yes.
And obviously, during the off season, in inverted commas, Martin has been hosting the fantastic radio show Let Me Be the One.
Thank you very much.
Which you can find on his SoundCloud and blog. Also, a very good evening to Joe.
I'm back. Hi. Lovely to see you all again.
And as always, lurking in the corner of the screen, it's my one and only trusted co-host, Stuart.
Looking in the shadows, Tom, is what you were really trying to say, wasn't it?
What can I say? It's been a while. I haven't had
It has been a while. How have you been, my friend?
Do you know what? I've been brilliant. Nice summer, chilled out, relaxing. And do you know what? I was walking in Tranche-de-Mer in France, down the shops and everything, and all of a sudden my ears kind of pricked up. I was like, I recognise this sound, and the ice cream parlour was playing Luca Hani's "She Got Me."
Woo!
Eurovision gets everywhere.
It does. You can't get away from it. Look at
Exactly.
us. We weren't due to be back until the end of the year.
Yes.
Yeah, but extra special stuff. Now, yes, we have gathered. It's almost like a secret meeting. No, it's not. We're live. But we are gathered to discuss the exciting news that came out this week. But first of all, do you remember the United Kingdom? Oh dear. Never mind. We were last with 16 points. Then they reversed it, and we came last with 11 points due to a irregular voting anomaly, shall we say, by the Belarusian jury.
Oh, God.
This having, let's face it, the last time we came last was with a certain Josh Dubovi. That sounds good to me. This time we decided everyone was bigger than us, and their point score indeed was. So the BBC has decided it's time for change. And earlier this week, we had some exciting news. Elliot.
You decide it's dead and gone. We're going internal.
Yeah!
Yeah!
But that's not all. We have partnered up with worldwide record label BMG. They are working alongside the BBC to find our artist and our song.
Yay!
So for the first, and I think it is, and panel, please feel free to correct me on this, for the first time ever, the BBC have actually teamed up with a record label. Is this right? I think it is.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Way overdue.
And it's the thing is, it's what every other country does. So let's take some initial thoughts. I'm going to go across to Martin first. What are your initial thoughts on this link up that the United Kingdom is doing, that the BBC is doing with BMG?
Well, it could be great. It could be, well, don't know really. I mean, if you look at the BMG website, there's a whole range of people that it could be. I suspect that we are not going to get their top stars coming in. They're probably not going to get Kylie, probably not going to get George Ezra. I suspect we're probably going to get one of the up-and-coming artists, but I would hope that BMG, being a major record label, are just not going to come into this half-hearted and not do much at all. Hopefully they will be picking a decent artist, getting a decent songwriter to get the songs together with the artist, so it matches, so that you haven't got somebody on stage who's sort of just been given a song and doesn't really believe in it. And also they would be promoting it properly, because it's not as if I've seen people saying online, oh, but they'll have to throw lots of money at it. And you're thinking, well, no, because they've already got these departments in place in their record label who do this all the time. So therefore, I'm hoping that they will promote it across territories, because obviously they will be wanting lots of benefit from this as well. Not just that the BBC get us an artist at Eurovision, they will want to be selling units as well. So therefore, hopefully they'll be promoting it across every single territory they are in, which will, hopefully it's everywhere that is in Eurovision. It might not be, but even if it's sort of like half of the territories, that would be amazing. And sending them to, hopefully, fingers crossed, to go on the equivalent of the One show in Romania and that sort of thing, so that when it gets to the final, they go, I remember that guy, he was on our One show. Oh yeah, I like the sound of his song, we'll vote for him. And they all know the song before it gets to the final. But so fingers crossed, we're getting the best bit anyway.
Are we already suggesting there, Martin, that the entrant is going to be male next year? I noticed you were mentioning the word guy. It was fine.
Oh well, it's So interchangeable. Anything. I mean, it could be anyone. There's a huge range of people on the label of various ages. So obviously, we could have an Engelbert stroke Bonnie sort of scenario, because there are some very well established artists on the BMG website that have been recording artists like Black Sabbath. I mean, obviously I'm old enough to remember Black Sabbath when they were actually big. You've got Morrissey, Echo and the Bunnymen. God, we're going back to the 1980s and 90s. But then you have got new artists, but also you've got artists that have been in Eurovision and in other things. I mean, I'm looking there, got Jessica Anderson, Loreen, Anouk, Francesco Gabbani. So, people who know about Eurovision.
Yeah, there is a wide variety there. And, whilst we are discussing, guys, don't forget, if you agree or even disagree with any of the panel's opinions, don't forget to speak to us in the chat room. And we've got Elliot monitoring the chat room there for us this evening. Now, Stuart, is this just a case of the BBC playing catch up with all the other European nations?
Yeah, I think it is. I think this is such a positive move by the BBC, Tom. The other day, somebody sent me a link of the last 10 to 12 UK entries. And I don't know what possessed me. I must have been in a positive frame of mind, but I thought I can listen to this today. And I listened to all 12 songs back to back. And my reaction was that actually over the last 12 years, we've sent some decent songs. There are some exceptions. That Sounds Good to Me would probably be one of them. But over the 12 years, they're decent quality songs, performed by okay to decent, or maybe in some cases good quality performers. But that itself tells you something. It tells you that the UK has traditionally sent safe songs which are not going to get you into the top places at Eurovision. So when a country is choosing their songs, whether it be the jury, whether it be the televote, the song has got to be strong enough to get into those top marks. Otherwise, it's mid-table and it doesn't get any points. And over the course of the evening, where do you find yourself? To the middling or to the bottom end of the table, which is exactly what the UK have done. So this is a really positive move. It's really positive. We've got a company that can send a decent artist and a decent song. Let's not go crazy and expect us to send Leona Lewis or someone of that ilk. That isn't going to happen. But we may just maybe send someone that's good and send an even better song to go with it, which would be a really positive move for the UK. I'm really excited by this.
I know. Do you know what? And I think you're right that it is something that I think it might see the United Kingdom take more risk than it traditionally has. And I mean, let's be honest, the UK has given Europe very little to talk about when it comes to the entries. If I'm thinking about, we sent established stars such as Engelbert and Bonnie. Blue created a stir in 2011, but when was the last time another stir was created like that? And I can't actually think of it unless you go with the stage invasion that Surrey very sadly experienced in 2018. But,
Tom, I mean, it's really, when you think of the UK song, nobody thinks Risk, do they? They think
no.
boring and bland and bloody safe. That's what you think of the UK song. And let's be totally honest, as UK people, well, the songs we sing, when was the last time a UK song did well in the UK chart? I can't remember. The only song I can remember doing half decent was Jade Ewan from a few years back, 12 years ago. In the last 12 years, none of the songs have done well. None of them. That's because no one in the UK would ever buy them. They'd never download them. They never stream them. That's the problem. And I think it's okay to take a risk. What do I want for Eurovision next year for the UK? I want us to take a risk. I want us to send something that actually resonates with the UK music scene. What's wrong with sending, I don't know, R&B, rap, even indie music, something that resonates with today's music scene? I'd be quite happy with something,
crucially, something that Europe wouldn't necessarily expect. And I think there is an expectation when it comes to the UK that it's going to be this middle of the road plod. And maybe we won't get it. I'm going to move on. Jana, sitting there as the one representative from another country that we've rustled up to the panel. What is your take on the United Kingdom as a whole at Eurovision, and what impact do you think this decision could have?
Well, let me start by saying the UK was amazing in the early to just before 2000s. They were amazing. Finished second 15 times. No other country did that. And since the Nillies, they went downhill. But in results, they went downhill for me because the songs were not that bad, like Stuart said. Some of them were, sorry, but 2010 was really bad. But yeah, it's just a song. They're just songs you hear on the radio and you say like, oh, well, yeah, it's a song, a pop song. So this decision was a good step forward for me because it shows the UK really want to do well in Eurovision, and I think they really want to win again because,
it would be lovely from a personal point of view.
Yeah. But it's been 10 years since they ended up in the top 10. Jade Ewan was 5th in 2009. And it's been way too long for the UK. And they used to be such a powerhouse. They used to be like first, second all the time. And it's a little bit of a shame because...
Do you think, and just playing, devil's advocate, do you think this is because Europe tries harder these days? In other words, the United Kingdom hasn't necessarily changed the way it does its entries, but the rest of Europe has.
I think it's because the UK is really stuck on the things they are used to doing. And the other countries, like you say, are reinventing themselves, reinventing the songs, thinking of new ways to bring the acts. But also, I think because of the language rule, I think that is also an important fact. Everyone sings in English these days.
Yeah.
It used to be in your own language. Since 1999, it's in English. Well, you can choose actually. So I think because of that language rule, it's also a reason the UK dropped in the rankings.
Mm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I just want to bring Joe in on this. I mean, Joe, what are your thoughts on all of this? Is it a case that the United Kingdom's just kind of been doing what it's been doing for years and years and years and years and years? Everyone else has just gone off and done something different, and now we're just waiting for something different to happen. What's your take?
Yeah, I don't disagree actually with you. And I think that the problem has been that they have got stuck in a rut, and it's the public perception. You're looking at the BBC. It's a public broadcasting company, and we have to pay a TV license to be able to get it. And I think they have to bear that in mind, and bearing in mind as well the fact that they have this finite amount of money, and they put a lot into the EBU. And I just think that they find it quite begrudging to put a lot of money into production and finding a good song and getting the right, I suppose, the right balance to get another Eurovision winner. And the fact that the public hate the Eurovision, the general public hate, they just don't like Eurovision, even though they watch it, and they take the mickey out of it. And it is that public perception in the UK. So the beat just don't take it seriously. So this year that they've actually come and thought, yeah, do you know what? The Netherlands has done it. Everyone's done it. We're going to do it. I just hope to God that they actually turn around public perception, because if they do, then we're going to be on to winners. So we may not win this year, but we're going to win in a few years if we get the general public behind us. So that's how I think what's been happening. And maybe we're turning a corner. That'd be really nice.
I mean, breakthroughs are so important. I mean, let's look at the Czech Republic. Miklos Joseph totally turned around their fortunes. Yeah. And I think when it came to Lake Malawi this year, everyone was more inclined to give the Czech Republic a chance off the back of that. At the same time, I think more artists were willing to give Czech Republic a chance in terms of representing the Czech Republic off the back of that as well. And I think there's a lot to be said for it. Just going to bring Elliot into this now. Elliot, you've been looking at the chat room. What's been going on?
A lot of talk in the chat room, which is always good. Some people are saying that the UK have just got lost with the other competitive countries, that we aren't competitive enough. Some are saying that the BBC and the UK have just lost faith within each other. A few names have been thrown into. Someone's saying send foxes for the BBC, for the UK. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But just quickly looking at her, she actually hasn't released anything since 2016. And she was a big name about 4 or 5 years ago. So this could be an opportunity for her to come back. So yeah, there's a lot of chat, a lot of optimism for the UK. So this seems quite promising, and that's all we can hope for.
It's a positive. When it comes to BMG, I mean, I'm assuming that if they're going to invest all this money, then they're obviously going to invest on the staging. Now, Michael Rice this year, we had the rather effective gospel singers, but we still had him basically stood by himself for 2 minutes. Suri had some weird square thing going on, which was a bit bizarre in the 80s.
And the stage inviter.
Yeah. And if I'm talking about the last UK staging I really liked, was probably Joe and Jake's in 2016, when they had all the pictures of the different people for You're Not Alone. What do we think in terms of staging? I'm gonna pose this to Elliot. Will we see a very different look to the way the UK is on the stage this year?
I think so, purely because it is BMG on this. Because you mentioned about Joe and Jake, but another one that really struck out for me staging-wise was Lucy Jones. And Lucy Jones made it very public that her record company took over once she won You Decide. They put a lot of money and time into her performance, because at the end of the day, it was her name, also their song or their artist, being judged here. And I think because it is BMG's name on this, and it's very public that they are going forward and working alongside the BBC, whether it's staging, clothing, styling, performance, song, result, it's all going to fall back onto BMG to some point. So it's their name attached to this. So they've got to think about them as well. They've got to make it look like so it's a positive spin for them, and it's so it looks like it's paid off in the public side and from a professional and what's the word? It's like business deal thing. Like effectively, this is a business deal the BBC and BMG now have, so it needs to work for both parties. So I do think we'll see a drastic change in staging. I think it will look more polished. I think it will, be more in tune to the artist. I think they will have more say in what they're allowed to do, because when we look at the songs that have done well or stood out the last few years, whether it's Arcade, Soldi, Sergei Lazarev's entries, Salvador, they're all very personal to the artist, and you believe what they're singing, like the song or not. It's personal, and that's being our biggest fault for the last few years, is that great singers, great ambassadors, the song could be sung by anyone else. That's the issue. So hopefully we get the right mix this year. Hopefully.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you make a very good point about getting the song that's suited to the singer, as opposed to going where we've got some songs that anyone could sing. It just depends how they put a spin on it. And I think was this year's You Decide a reflection of that, by basically coming up with 3 songs that anyone could sing, anyone could interpret their own way. And we ended up with some very good stuff from Bigger Than Us, Holly Tandy and Michael. And then the others was a bit Marmite. Stuart, what's your take on it all?
So I've rewatched Eurovision You Decide, and I'm sorry, but I thought all 6 songs were absolutely rubbish. And I really think when you reflect on it, the quality isn't good enough. And what I'm really hopeful with BMG is that they're going to take this forward now. Look, think about it. Why is it not in their interest to deliver a cracking stage performance in Rotterdam? What's not in their interest for it to be a success? Why would they do it if they thought they could come last and get nil point? They're going to go for it. So I'm really encouraged. No idea what we're going to send, but I'm 100% certain it'll be better than last year. And those that were involved in the program last year in developing the concept behind Eurovision You Decide have been the ones that have been spearheading the change this year. So they've recognized that there's a need to do this. So this is really encouraging, really, really encouraging. And BMG are not going to invest if they think this is going to fail. So they're fully behind it. I can't wait.
Okay. And Elliot, what have you got to add on that?
Well, I think, the thing we need to recognize with BMG is that, especially in the, I've gone blank, article they published listing the acts that they've worked with in the past, and not just Eurovision, the songs that they had been attested to, which was like Shotgun by George Ezra, the Lewis Capaldi single, and Jess Glynn, they were all breakout songs for those artists. Just for example, Shotgun by George Ezra, probably my favorite song last year, went platinum or better in 12 countries across Europe and the world. You don't just do that by accident. And with that power behind our entry working on it, sky's the limit. Sky is the limit. We need to take this seriously. We need to not be afraid to put the money in. And, as I said, take a risk. It may fall flat on our face because it is the UK. But, this is a very trying time for the UK and fans. And, I'm just grateful that the BBC have almost listened to us, because we said You Decide isn't working now. We want to take risks. We need something else to change and be something very different. And this is that. So I think, they've got the right building blocks there for success.
I can see what you're saying, and they have got a lot of money there. I'm just going to come to Yerna quickly, and then I'll come to Stuart.
Well, I was going to add that the BBC is playing it safe, I think, because they're already qualified. They don't have to put in a lot of effort to qualify through the semis, and I think that's also a reason they played it safe. And somebody, I think, had an epiphany, I think, and decided to change the whole thing, because I think they really want the change. They're ready for it.
And Stuart, what are you going to say?
I don't agree, and I don't think we've we just, I just think part of the problem is that the Eurovision isn't cool in the UK. It's that simple. Eurovision is something that all the record labels have traditionally avoided. If you walk down the street in the UK and you say, "Hey, look at me, I'm a Eurovision fan," it doesn't go down too well. People aren't really interested in talking Eurovision until the 2 weeks in May. In fact, the week in May, not the 2 weeks.
The day in May.
The day in May. Yes, quite right. The day in May. And then don't talk about it after. Yeah, it stays on that day in May. So it's not cool. Whereas in other countries, they totally embrace it. Like, if Oben's in the chat, Cyprus is a great example. It's Eurovision all year round in Cyprus because most of the artists want to be a part of Eurovision. In the UK, most artists wouldn't touch it with a 9-foot barge pole.
Yeah.
But just to play devil's advocate on that, I mean, yes, the artists wouldn't necessarily touch it with a barge pole and stuff like that, but how much do you think that in part is down to the fact that the BBC has been unwilling to work with a record label before and basically almost seen the contest as, here's a very good, cheap entertainment show that we can broadcast as part of the money we pay to the EBU. It's a very inexpensive 4 hours worth of entertainment that they've now twisted it on its head and gone, well, we need to work with someone somewhere along the line. And actually, tied in with that, you've got the idea that they're a public broadcaster, and at a time when their funding has been limited as well, I mean, maybe this is the way of batting away criticism and also trying to bring up the reputation.
Well, I just think I think the intention was right. I think the people behind the scenes choosing the UK songs were the right people. The people that were doing it had the right level of competence. They were picking the right type of artist. Just let down by the kind of competition that was being built. Let's not forget, the intention is to create a singer. The intention is always to create a show in the UK that people will tune into. And I'm talking about the UK selection. And the intention is then to choose a song which the British people think can win Eurovision. That's very different to whether the song and the singer can win Eurovision, because the UK's perception of Eurovision is very different to what other people in other countries believe a winner can look like. So that's part of the problem, in my opinion.
Do you know what? I can go with that because there are many people I speak to who think Scooch was our best ever entry in the last 10 years or 10, 15 years. Because that's exactly what Europe wants from the Eurovision Song Contest, apparently.
Yes, we do.
Let's bring Martin in on this. I mean, we've brought in a lot more points since we last came to you, Martin. What are your thoughts on the current discussion, shall we say?
Well, last year's Eurovision News side was really, I think, scraping the bottom of the barrel, and it had become very reality show. It was really made for TV, and there's very few songs that have ever been written that can be sung in two different ways by two different acts. And the only ones that I've ever really thought about is My Way, which has been sung by numerous people, and Walk On By, which was Dionne Warwick and the Stranglers and people like that. And they're classics, and you've got to have a perfect song to be able to do that. And those three songs last year didn't work. The only one that really had any difference was Sweet Lies, with Kerry Ann and I can't remember the other singer now. That was probably the one that had the biggest difference, but it was never really going to work, unfortunately. And I think this year, with the BMG and the BBC Studios, which is the commercial arm BBC, it will really come down to how much interference the BBC put in the way of BMG. The ideal thing will be that the BBC go, right, you do everything. We'll put on we'll take the feed from Eurovision from Rotterdam. We'll provide the commentators, and we'll provide the delegation to look after your artist, and you will have a few people along as well. If it's that level, then this might really work. If the BBC start getting really involved and start picking holes and picking away at what's BMG are trying to do, then it might not work at all, and we might. But it's not going to be any worse, is it? We were bottom with 11 points. The only way it could be any worse if we got less than 11 points. And as everyone's been saying, I can't imagine that BMG will allow that to happen. I think if it got so horribly wrong, I could imagine that BMG might say goodbye. and just
Yeah.
walk out on the whole process.
I mean, do we know how long this contract is? Is it a one-shot deal, or have they signed a deal for a number of years?
I don't think well, not that I've seen reported anywhere. I mean, hopefully it's not just a one-year deal. That's the problem with the BBC, is that it seems to be every year. They'll do they did internals for so many years. They went with Electra Velvet, which in a way was taking a risk. It was a weird risk, but it was a risk. It was different. And then they tried Molly with BBC Introducing. They thought, oh, that might be the way to go. That didn't seem to work. They stopped doing that. And then they tweaked Eurovision You Decide. And obviously Joe and Jake didn't do particularly brilliantly. Then obviously it seemed to be going in the right direction with Lucy. Then they could probably put.
Oh, Martin seems to have frozen.
I quite like him like that.
A
Actually,
moment in time.
he looks
Wow.
very peaceful. Look at him.
He does.
Look at him there. Look at him there. Someone give him a straw.
Oh,
Oh, please, looks like he's drinking a nice cup of tea, dear. Look, nice cup of tea. Nice cup of tea.
and we'll come back to Martin as and when.
Oh, bless him. I don't think I can take my eyes off him now. Nice cup of tea. Nice cup of tea.
I'm going to go to Joe on this. I mean, the one thing I've found very encouraging is the fact that, my goodness, because I always tally BBC and Eurovision, they think about it after Strictly Come Dancing has been on. And the first episode, or the first real episode, should I say, of Strictly Come Dancing in the UK isn't on until tomorrow night, much to Elliot's excitement. And to be fair, my own, but do you think, therefore, this means, Joe, that we are going to find out our entry potentially earlier than ever before?
That's a very good question. I was having a thought, and you guys might have different thoughts to me, is how they would reveal it as well. Because would you end up knowing in December, January, or right at the very end of the process, and mainly, just like, oh, we're going to reveal it on the website. There you go. There it is. Bye. Or are they going to make this massive fanfare, or are we going to have like sort of a show where we can, a studio show where people can get tickets and go and see the big reveal? It'll be very interesting. I mean, I do think they're going to end up keeping it to the first week of February. I don't know why I have that feeling. I just do. But how they're going to do it is more of a question, I think. And I'd like to have a big reveal, but I just got a feeling that it's just going to show up on the, I don't know. I think it's just going to be like, there it is.
During the news broadcast.
Well, you're saying about the correlation of Eurovision and Strictly, and yes, it's normally the same team work on Eurovision and Strictly all year round. So I was thinking, could they intertwine the two and have the artist reveal on the show? Could they do the big fanfare, or even the final? So that's 3 months from now. It's the final, and that's about 12 million people watch Strictly on average. It's a massive show. Behind Eurovision, it's their biggest show without a shadow of a doubt. And boom, they're straight away. Doesn't have to have the song, just the artist. They can sing something else. What's the pros of dancing? But there's millions of eyes on this person, whether they're famous or not. Gets excitement, gets interest. Easiest way to do it. So that's why
it could be on something like the One Show or something like that, couldn't it? Or it's going to have to be on a big show potentially that to make it sort of stand out. Like it wasn't Dunkirk. I'm just trying to think. There's quite a few that some of the other countries, they do reveal their songs that way, don't they? Their artists, at least. I mean, was it Waylon when he went on the program and then he had all of those different songs to choose from? I think that they could do that.
I do wonder.
As good as any, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder if it's part of the deal in terms of the reveal. It could be. That if they want a big reveal with a lot of publicity, that they're going to go and actually do something like a reveal on Strictly, because the One Show is a bit run of the mill, isn't it, really? Because it's on every week. And I noticed we now have a reanimated Martin. He's managed to
Hello.
reanimate himself.
And someone doing an impression.
Can we have the caption, Martin?
What is it?
I
See,
never-
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
Stupid internet.
do you know what? One episode in, and we've already got our meme of the year.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd finished talking anyway, so it's fine. It cut out at the right point. So
I'm not entirely sure we heard it though. That's the.
oh, do we? Oh, right.
No.
Never mind.
You did
I have-
kind of freeze mid animation. It was like,
Does it matter, Tom? I mean, it's just that's the best thing I've seen for ages. There's some really sort of good suggestions in the chat room, though. Graham Norton's show.
It's on too
Oh,
late.
Elliot's
It's like
shaking his head.
10:30. It's like starts at 10:30 on a Friday, and not many. It's actually slightly in decline. I think it needs to be like prime time 7 o'clock on a Saturday or Friday night.
Yeah, Children in Need. Then that was another suggestion.
It's not. I mean, I suppose one of the things has the BBC cottoned on now to the fact that anything after 1st of September is fair game.
Yeah,
Probably.
well, I mean, well, actually, that's a really good point. Would it hurt us to announce the singer in the next couple of months? You know,
Nope.
if by the
I
end
mean,
of November,
Duncan got announced in November.
yeah, exactly. If
Out
we
of
knew by
nowhere.
the end of November, that
Senec.
we were going to send Senec. Yeah, we were going to send.
Senec was in the summer.
Yeah,
In August, I think.
gives you a
Yeah,
lot
I'm-
of time to prepare your song, then, doesn't it?
Well, it does, doesn't it? And I mean, for the reveal as well. I mean, I suppose we don't know what the BBC are planning for their winter lineup after Strictly has finished. When they could reveal it as well, so they could announce the artist on Strictly. They could even, depending on the artist, have them performing a song and announce that they're going to represent the UK at Eurovision. Make not that song if it's an established artist, you don't know, or it's and then you could see something more develop over January. Martin's suggesting Iron Maiden. I didn't even know they were still alive, Martin.
Yeah, they're on BMG. No, I was just thinking because whenever they release things in the past, in the recent past, what they've done is they've got all their fans across the world to download things on the same day, or so that they basically get to number one wherever it is. I was just thinking it'd be an interesting experiment for Eurovision that we get all the Iron Maiden people, they do that, bring them into the contest, and all their fans across the world in whatever territory go, right, there you go. Even if they don't like Eurovision, Iron Maiden just say, oh, John, this will be a bit of fun. Go ahead and do it. Be just an interest and see how far up the table they get, just purely by people voting for them for no reason other than that it's the act themselves. Wouldn't happen, but yeah.
No, but it's an interesting idea. Elliot, what's the chat room saying about all of this?
Like I said, the chat room, they're like saying about who we should be sending more than anything. Ness has actually brought up a fair point and said, acts with the Brits that have 4 in the act seem to do well, like Blue, Brotherhood of Man, Katrina and the Waves or that lot. So maybe a group. Someone did say the Saturdays. I think that was Oban. I think he might be like overshooting a bit there. He also said that, the UK need to stop copying other countries with their songs. And I don't think Oban realizes Fuego was quite a rip-off of 10 years ago. It was. Look, I gotta get my dig into that now. Oh yeah, then they copied themselves this year. So yeah,
but I like.
they're seeming optimistic. But any suggestions of artists, drop them in the chat. We'll have a little think about them. I don't think we're going to get a big name. I think the biggest name we could get, and this is a bit of a stretch, no disrespect to her, is Holly Tandy, purely because she's straight back into doing a songwriting camp over the summer. She does seem up to do Eurovision. She is lovely. She is young, and she's done. You Decide, and she was very good. So I think that for me, my head instantly went to picking her. But saying that, I loved her on X Factor, and I loved her on Either Side, so it's a bit of bias.
Yeah, we also know that Martin was a fan. Stuart, what are your thoughts on these artists and things?
So I have a hunch. There's names over the past few years which have said they're interested in Eurovision, or doing Eurovision, I should say. There is the band Hertz, which would be a fantastic choice by the UK. But I think the one name which could happen, and I think would take many by surprise, is one Mons Zelmerlo. And I could very well see him doing it because his wife is English, his kids are English, he lives pretty much down the road from me, and he's now virtually a Brit. So why would he not do it?
He's
Well,
won. What
BMG.
else has he got to prove? He's
But
But
He's
would
won
won
for
Sweden
the
ever speak to him again?
He's never won for the UK.
I think
What a challenge.
people are gonna, if you choose Mont Salmone, the people in Europe are gonna say like, "Oh my God, they're taking like a singer from another country. They can do it themselves."
We
I
did
wouldn't
that
rule
with
it out.
Surely
Freeman
was American.
Yeah. But let's
We
face it,
don't
the
care.
90s were epitomised by basically picking people from random English-speaking territories. Gina G was Australian. So,
So was Olivia Newton-John, but that was in the 70s. So
and Love City Groove were just interesting. But
you can
is it
send
the time for
Kylie.
something like that again?
Kylie.
So, and let's not forget, I mean, this is the one thing I think that hopefully the BBC will get right this time. And I'm listening to the discussion and I'm reminded of 2007 when Scooch did win the BBC selection process, that you had Cindy, who was a Celtic ballad type song in there, but you also had Big Brothers trying to do a massive rap number, was it rap R&B type number that was pretty off the wall for the UK. And you know, maybe that is one of the UK's biggest mistakes. I think if we'd have sent something like that in 2007, that would have been really, really interesting. I think it's on YouTube, by the way, if you are listening and thinking to yourself, after this, I'll emphasize, after this, you'll want to take a look. Stuart.
Yeah. Big Brothers. What a track that was. I was absolutely mortified when they didn't win. Interesting fun fact. The two girls from Big Brothers also were in the band Booty Love with I Found a Place Where We Can Party. Remember that song? That was a massive dance hit a few years ago.
I'm trying to think who actually
Martin's like,
sung it.
he's like this.
The trouble is, you're coming up with that. I can hear the tune and everything, and then you're saying it's a few years ago, and I've got a feeling it was about 15.
It's quite a few years ago. I may have been underpinning that, underplaying that a little bit. Yeah, it's probably about 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I think. But a good suggestion. Elliot, what's the chat room's take on some of the more recent discussion?
Well, we've had someone agree with Martin and say just send Iron Maiden. Someone has said just send Queen, but I'm guessing that'd be with Adam Lambert fronting it because Freddie Mercury, God rest his soul, is no longer with us, who was the original lead singer of Queen. Aline saying send Mick Jagger. I do think we can scale it back slightly in who we send, but I have no issue with these big artists being a songwriter. You know, that's how they want to get involved with it. Go for it.
And that has happened before, hasn't it? Where big artists have tried to write songs. Yerna is very much suggesting Kylie Minogue.
Would be nice.
I just as a total aside, Yerna, did you watch Strictly Come Dancing over in Belgium that the BBC produces, and did you see Kylie do her launch show? Is this why you're inspired?
Not really.
Oh.
I didn't watch.
Oh.
No, I just love Kylie Minogue.
Well, stranger things have happened, but you know, if Bonnie Tyler can do Eurovision and Engelbert Humperdinck can do Eurovision,
And she's Australian, so.
But I somehow don't think I can't see it happening. I don't. Also, now Australia are in Eurovision.
Yeah, maybe she can go for Australia then.
She could do. Of course, Australia are bringing back their selection show this year. So we can all get up incredibly early Saturday morning and watch it in Europe.
No, probably not.
A big shout out, by the way, to the Australians that are just waking up and hopefully tuning into this over their Saturday morning breakfast.
Good morning, Australia. Hello. How are you, mate?
Yes. Hello, Danny. Hello, Mitchell.
Hello,
Good
Troy.
day. Good day.
Hello, Gemma. Hello, Troy. Hello, OK Australia, because we are very good friends with OK Australia.
Oh my
We love you all.
So, guys, let's try and sum up our discussion here. I mean, are we thinking that 2020 we could see the UK being the comeback kid, shall we say? Is this the start of something new? Is this the start of something exciting? Joe.
Yes, absolutely. I feel very positive about the fact that we're going to be top 10.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Martin.
Yeah, top 10 will be good, I think. Obviously out of the bottom 5, but I think if they're not in the top 10, then I think it'll probably be a disappointment. It'll probably be a bit like where, I think everyone got really excited in the UK about Molly in Copenhagen. And everyone's thinking, oh, she might do really well, might be top 5, might be winner. And then she came 17th, wasn't it? So I think that, and then it set everything back again. So I think a top 10 would be needed to progress it, because then I think the BBC would say, well, yeah, we'll keep doing this. BMG would say, yep, that's reasonable. We've sold lots of units on the back of this. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice to think we'd get near the top, but I think, little steps, a decent result out of the bottom 5 will be, excellent. But yeah, I think we should be looking at top 10.
The one thing, just to pick up on your point with Molly, hopefully if they're being backed by BMG, and particularly the wallet of BMG, they hopefully will act on the stage like they actually want to be there. Unlike Molly, dare I say it, during her performance, where she looked like she would rather be anywhere else.
Unfortunately.
But on that stage, which was a real shame. Elliot.
I, as always, am optimistic about the UK at this time of the year and what we can do and achieve. And I think this is very promising. The building blocks are there for something successful. It's just a case of getting it right. And, that is a bigger ask for the UK compared to other countries. But, with the right song, with the right staging, and with the right singer, anything is possible. We've seen this with countless countries. So, I'm going to hold on to hopefully a top 10 result. But I just want a song that we are A, proud of, and B, gets the recognition with just in the normal mainstream British media it deserves. Get it on Radio 1, get a music video for it, get everything set up for whoever is going, because this is also their career as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you're absolutely right. I'm beyond, after Gemini, all I said was, let's send a song where the singers sing in tune. And I think we've gone beyond that now. What are your final thoughts?
Well, I just hope that UK is going to slay next year and will end up in the left side of the scoreboard. Maybe even finish second, because Belgium is going to win.
Oh, 16th, second place. That would actually be quite amusing. Certainly from my point of view. And finally, Stuart, wrap it up for us in terms of these final thoughts.
So it's amazing we've got through 48 minutes without mentioning Brexit. How amazing is that? So I'm going to continue and not mention it at all. I think the UK could do really well this year. Got to have optimism. I didn't say it. I was only pretending. I think I got away with it. I think the UK could do really well.
No one noticed. It's fine.
I think the UK could do really, really well. And I think it's a great choice. And really, really, really pleased with the BBC for making that decision. It's a tough choice because essentially they're releasing their control. And it's a brave choice. And for them, I hope it pays off. And for BMG and the artists, whoever they choose, let's hope it's a good one. And, it would be nice. Top 10 is all we ask for. I think we can do it.
Yeah, tough choice, but an exciting choice as well. And I think one that's going to offer a lot more money for the United Kingdom as it does its staging and all the things that are associated with the gloriousness that is Eurovision. Now, if you have been getting cold sweats at night because there is not enough Eurovision around, Elliot and Nicholas have had some offerings to offer. With Junior Eurovision, Elliot, what's the MO on that?
Well, our next show is next Friday at 9 p.m. CET time. We'll be discussing the Belarusian song, the Russian song, the Spanish song, a lot of music, basically. A lot is happening since our last show, so make sure you tune in because a lot has happened. So you've got a lot to talk about.
Fantastic. I look forward to seeing that. And that's you and Nicholas, 9 o'clock next Friday. Be there. In the meantime, don't forget, hit the like and subscribe button. We appreciate it. Also, don't forget Instagram, Facebook. Don't forget Twitter as well. We're all on there. ESC Fan TV. You can even converse with us in real life too. We are human people. Last time I looked. Now, it only leaves me to say a fantastic goodbye for now to my panel. A goodbye to Joe.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Goodbye to Martin.
Goodbye. I'm glad I gave you all so much pleasure. Or was it like this? I don't know what it was. I'll have a look later.
Ooh, I'll stay away from that one, Martin. Bit of pleasure. Nice bit of pleasure.
Goodbye and thank you to Yana.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
Oh, it has been too long and lovely to see you again. Goodbye to Elliot.
See you later, guys. Come on, UK, we can do this. Come on.
Hey. And a farewell to my co-host, Stuart.
Thanks so much, Tom. Hey, it looks great to be back, isn't it?
It is. It's like putting on that comfy sweater.
Nobody's talked once about that shirt.
Just summing up.
Ignoring it.
Well, to be honest, at least it's not the Dolly style wig. We can save that one for the next time. Anyway, you have been watching ESC Fan TV. We'll be back very soon. Catch the next show next Friday, 9 o'clock. Be there. But from us, goodbye for now. See you later. Bye-bye.